This is iRacing.
A racing circuit that has been at the forefront of racing for a while. It's had edits to it, and in its modern guise, it's been a track that has been remembered in the racing world as one which has produced great regional racing. But it is only in the last year or so where it started to wake up here in South Australia. It started to say, no, this is a Premier circuit, and we will see Premier racing that is going to take its hold here. And it will do with your classic Lotus Grand Prix series. Your 79s are into full play here tonight, today, wherever you are around the world. My name's Jake Sperry. Along with me for today's action is Craig King, as Christian Deploy is in the director's chair. The cameras today are provided by Dougie Beard. But what to be said about a circuit that often, for those who remember it in Formula circles, in Formula ways, will understand this isn't quite the circuit that they remember. Here's the little edit of it with your GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Adelaide Street Circuit. This well-loved venue has had an off-and-on history, but one steeped in classic moments between F1 and Australian supercars. At 2 miles in length, or roughly 3.2 kilometers, it's a short but frantic blast around the city streets and on a purpose-built section in Victoria Park. Since 1985, the tight confines have tested many great names in racing. Sections such as the Senna Chicane need an aggressive approach to find speed in your lap time. But the notorious Turn 8 kink is what most often catches out drivers, with no runoff to save you if you lack precision. That quick blast leads you along the Brabham Straight down into the Duquetteville hairpin, which is the most popular spot to try to make an overtake. Like many street courses, those passes are hard to come by though. Track position is king here, but it does not rule out the ever-present threat of mistakes costing you more than just a spot, but often simply a chance at seeing the finish. Memorize the 14 turns, hit your marks, and steel yourself for the grueling task of completing the race. The popularity of this event has been reinforced with its frequent revival by the insistence of local fans, so there's little doubt it'll be here for many years to come.
A circuit that provides an incredibly difficult challenge, and that's why sometimes street circuits get a bit less in the participation circles. This is a circuit that demands respect and is both high speed and has the traditional nature of what a street circuit should provide, Craig.
Yeah, and the last time they drove this track in F1 was 95, and it's not the same layout. It's all the same until you get to turn 6 onto Hutch Street, where you used to go straight on and take a little bit of a detour to go around Brewery Corner and down the long Brabham Straight. We now go to Bartels Road, to the now iconic or infamous, however you see it, turn 8, the only corner on the track that has actually not got a name. This is a tight track as you would expect for a street circuit, which means the walls are close, the overtaking is going to be tough, and because this is also a supercars track, they are almost like the NASCAR sausage curves on the curves, so you don't want to really cut them too much because you'll find yourself just going flying. But it's all going to be about speed today on that back straight down Bartels Road into turn 8 down to the Brabham Straight. That's where you're going to see the majority of moves today. And then hopefully if you can keep the car in one piece, you'll be able to actually use the speed to your advantage.
You certainly can, and we'll see how that plays itself out. It's early stages in the championship and drivers turning around and trying to get their results the way they want to. Aldris Valenterius on top right now after 128 points, says I'm best, with Zach Leon Hardy and James Barry second and third. Andre Castro finds himself fourth in the standings, with Ross Banfield and Topi Koutaniemi then in fifth and sixth. Kartik Pai will find himself seventh, along with Gabri Martinez, as Josephine Becker and Luke Turnerson make up the top 10 for the initial season starting then for the action that we have. But there's also the F2 standings out there, Craig, for those who don't quite have as much iRating and still have something to race for.
Yeah, and these are basically the results of the second split. It's usually done by average average race time, but this is done by also the results from second split. Last week, Mikhail Sabala won last week in the second split. He'll be first, with Diego Mastretta in second. Brett Whalen will be third, with Jesse Brannon in that fourth. Keith Herner will be fifth. Miguel Morland right behind in sixth. And it's David Shepard in seventh. Craig Sandin will be eighth. Jonas Killick, well, unfortunately, I can't get that name at the moment. It's with the issues with the fonts, but Gilles Lissandro will be in 10th.
Yep, so Eunice there in 9th position, or Eunice Kyle, I guess we're going to have to call him now at this point, because we don't quite get his name the way that we need to. In the team standings out there, Josephine Becker on top for those who make themselves eligible for it. So Totoro Racing on top, with Jib Racing second and Scuderia Ferrari, they find themselves in third. You've then got Fittipaldi Automotive Copersucar there in fourth, which is the Brazilian-based team, as Candy Team Tyrrell are fifth, and the Keep Renault Elf there in sixth position, the team of Miguel Morland and Barry West. Krakowiak Racing Team and the Vorsteiner Arrows are seventh and eighth, with Northern Winter Racing and ATS Wheels making up your top 10 as far as it stacks. But 36 laps here today, Craig. That's a lot of opportunities to go make moves.
Yeah, it's going to be a long race as well for round 2 today. It's 36 laps, as Jake did say. It is an open setup, so use the baseline. Use the setup you've made yourself, or one the fantastic community has provided. But if you crash, your day is done. And there's a lot of walls here today, so you might be seeing that. Drive through at 17 incident points of qualification at 25. Julian Palmer once said, you've got to be alert on a street circuit, Jake. I don't think we'll be seeing somebody get anywhere near close to 25. They might be in 25 pieces if they hit the wall.
Yeah, that's what is more likely out there. Foggy day here in Adelaide right now. Obviously, it's a case where the workshops have found themselves going back up once again. 68 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature, or 20 degrees Celsius, what you would prefer to call it. Valenterius running through the centre chicane and over towards turn 3, which is, or turn 4 even, the Wakefield corner, trying to hit the brakes, sliding about. Then you get yourself into turn number 5 off the East Terrace, and now here is turn 6, where you might find on the outside a Michael Schumacher in position there on the left-hand side of his Benetton back in the day. Now as you work on through turn 7, you're along the Bartels Road, and here's where commitment is needed. Turn 8 out here on a lap. It is as ferocious as you need it. You're flat out through here, which is where you need all the downforce, and then you're into the Decaturville hairpin at turn number 9. Now as you work along towards the end of the lap, you've got to be patient here. 90-degree left, you enter the parklands once again and look to flick through this left and then this right, and you'll see as you come to pit lane an imprint there of David Coulthard down on the inside as you work into the final corner. And now out then of the Foster's corner and over towards the line. First attempt of 2 is a 10-7. That's only 8.
Surprise there for Valenterius. He's not been on his strength this weekend when it comes to qualifying, but he is doing what he can. Jack David Spickett looking to do what he can. And I gotta say, we talk about drives with imprints. Remember, after they went to Adelaide, they got out of Adelaide, the F1, they went to where they are now, Albert Park. And well, we also saw Martin Brundle go for a bit of a flip there, but he didn't have to go for a flip round here. Cal Young hopefully doesn't want to go flipping around here, as he's going to get his times in. And it's not a very close qualifying right now. We've got to tip the hat off once again to Leon Hardy. 3 tenths faster than Togo Hisada. I know we were talking how good he was at the end of last season, Jake. 1 race into the season, that man is surprising everybody right now as the Lightning Purple TVR of Frackleton will come across the line as well. He'll look for his first lap time, or his second lap time, actually. It's a 1:13.2.
Yeah, so that's a little down the order. It's a banker there for him, 28 to 28. But here is Valenteus once again, looking to push better than that 10-7. A 9-9 is the margin to try and beat. It's a 10-2. It's good enough for the front row. So that obviously was enough to make that exciting as Jack David Spickett looks to try and improve from that 9th position, running over towards the line. How good is this going to be? He'll need a few tenths of a second. He does improve to a 10-4. That is there pretty much of the affirmative 6th position that is out there at the moment. And Cal Young, we normally see him, Craig, in a GTO. He's currently 23rd.
Yep, decided to go into the 79s this season as well, and doing a double, not doing the triple like most drivers like Valenteus, but he's going to come across the line, trying to see if he can get a respective lap time. This is also learning for the drivers. If he jumps up to 12, Dylan Freckle will be coming on across the line as well. Yeah, this is the learning curve for the driver, Jake. I think you're one of the only people that's managed to do a broadcast on this track since it's come out. Not many people have come to this racetrack yet. This is first time for the drivers. They don't do it in the last season. They do it this season. So not a lot of drivers know how to take this track. And I can just see Dylan somewhere. Very foggy. Struth, mate. It's very foggy this morning.
It very much is, but he'll be very happy in the sense that he is up in that 10th position on a 110.7. So a much better improvement from the second lap and qualifying in the books. So a chance to say where everyone is going to stand out. So Zach Leon Hardy proving that qualifying is his best skill as he is on the pole with Aldrius Valenteus, the gold standard, alongside for company. Togo Hisada, the Emperor of the Lotus, will have Ross Banfield there in 4th as James Barry, who we know very well as a driver, who is a lot stronger when it comes to his radical racing. He's in 5th with Jack David Spickett in 6th. Marco Nurmela and Luke Turnerson are 7th and 8th, with Kartik Pai starting 9th and Dylan Freckleton rounding your 10.
We get to the second page, and Hans Sommer will be in 11th with Raul Roches Guardia in 12th. Cal Young with that unlucky 13th with Christoph Lesnijak in 14th. The Miera will take 15th with JD Rodriguez back in 16th. Gabriel Martinez will be an unexpected 17th. Gunnar Friescher takes 18th. Mickey Friesen will be 19th. Alongside him on that row 10, Ricardo Espinella Martinez.
Yeah, it was nice to see Espinella in and racing. In the 11th row is Michael Taylor and Pablo Rodriguez Hoglar. You got Andrew Petty there in 23rd and Jean-Francois Boscos, leaving the final 4 drivers, Matthew Cockerham, Seamus Power, Jason Kukoviak, and then Jorge Gonzaga, the Portuguese driver, also an inert teammate to James Barry out there as they will set for what will be a very important 36 laps. And maybe, Craig, the tightest turn 1 and 2 and 3 on iRacing.
And not only that, this is going to be the tightest race fuel capacity-wise for these drivers. It's a long race today. That's going to really catch drivers out.
Well, it's also going to be sideways. You don't get a stagger here around this circuit. Lights on, lights out, and we are underway here at Adelaide. Valenteus gets a wonderful launch off the get-go as they will go into the center chicane for the first time. Leave each other room as you work on through, and there is big drama there in the back. We normally expect it. Ricardo Espinella Martinez is caught up, as is JD Rodriguez, and Journo Friescher, the legend himself, in trouble. There is side by side as Leon Hardy tries to fight back through turn 6 onto Hutt Street and can't quite get the run. Now we'll get the chance to get the run here on turn 7 and along over to 8.
Well, we see about 3 people almost flipped at the start of that race. That's unfortunate as Valenteus getting a really good start. Leon Hardy not having the start he wanted around here, and now he's just going to have to go on the attack. But you see Valenteus defending that inside here as they come down Brabham into the Ketville, and he just can't do it. Around the outside can be always tough around any track, but when it so much tightens up right now, not a lot that Zach's going to have to do. He's going to have to go on the defense. JD Rodriguez has retired the car, I believe. Wouldn't be surprised if we get Owens as well. Raul Roches Guardia, Mickey Friesen just got off into an incident as well. They both crashed and towed out, and even more drivers towing.
Andrew Petty is involved in a big incident out there, so there is more trouble to be had on the opening lap. In fact, It is the old Australian adage that needed to be said. The track was jammed. The track was jammed out of the Decathlon hairpin. And so everybody understood that here, as Leon Hardy around the outside is going to move up into the race lead there, had to try and pick the run up, has done well. Valente is chucking it back in, can't get there. They've allowed Togo Hesada back in on the fight, but it's always tough at a street circuit. No margin for error, and the one thing you can find lap one is drivers looking to push the margin and get a little bit too aggressive.
And I think that's what caused a lot of the issues as well. I counted about 3 drivers that are cutting the center chicane at the start of this race. These two still battling on, and Togo's just going to be enjoying watching this right now. He's now 8 hours ahead of us, no longer 9 hours ahead of us due to Japan not doing daylight saving. So he's still the same time for him. Well, it's actually still the same time for him, but he's going to be a little bit closer right now, and he's getting as close as he can. This is the only part of the track that feels like a proper racetrack, Jake, and even then, it's still very tight around Foster's.
Yeah, it is a very tough final corner to go and get right, and that is the last great place you can go and make moves here on this circuit. Marco Nurmela with the fastest lap then as they chase along Wakefield Road to Wakefield Corner at turn 4. Let's take a little look at the start though, because there is a lot to uncover. This is Journo Fritzsche's view of things then. He's minding his own business. Oh, look at that, how quickly the contact is there. He just gets a tag from Mickey Friesen, and everyone else then basically is tipped up by proxy.
Yeah, I think Mickey may have had his car in that middle part of the track. He may have heard a call of free wide, and you don't really want to be free wide going into the center chicane. As you said, tightest corners in iRacing, and that just goes to show just how much he had to play with there, and that is unfortunate. Now, I'm looking at something here, Jake, and I'm going to have to get my magnifying glass, because Valente is just quick. But ever since him and Zach had that moment where Zach went around the outside of Wakefield, he's been off the pace a little bit. Dare I say he has some sort of damage?
No.
But surely that's not Valenteus' pace.
That is Valenteus' pace, because that is Leon Hardy's pace today. He is breaking away on pure pace out there at this point. 1:10.8, fastest lap. Leon Hardy is no longer going to sit by and be a pretender in this series. He's going to be a contender. Here is Togo Hesada working through then at turn 5, looking over on Flinders Street. Now at 6, short shoot run here, and another short shoot run at turn 7 here, leading on to Bartels Road. Hesada just needing to try and find a way to open up for opportunity to get into a closer place to attack. And look at the way that it's being done here. All that time is being lost in the 90-degree turns, in the slower speed section. Valente is going defensive. Hesada trying to go around the outside at the Ketterville hairpin. And now, here's Jack David Spickett. I think this is a circuit that suits a certain type of driver, and Valenteus may be uncertain today.
No, and I think what happened as well for that moment, he had a slowdown somewhere. Not sure where, and I think he decided to start slowing down at Hut Street, take a slow entry onto Bartels Road to affect not only himself but Togo, so Togo could not get the overtake before turn 8 or down the Brabham Straight. So a little bit of technical expertise there from Valenteus, and that just goes to show how much they're pushing. Andrew Petty still pushing at the back of the field as well. He's battling Martinez, and you can just see how much they're fighting as well. They're really struggling out there with grip. I don't think Petty's got a chance to make a move here, but you know his pedigree super formulas. He'll be looking all he can, and he puts the pressure on Martinez, and that's all you need is a little bit of pressure. They're going to go side by side, and last time they were side by side, Jake, there was a little bit of drama down the chicane.
Yeah, a determined lift from Ricardo Espinea. Wasn't going to have it any other way. Andrew Petty through and making his progress. So let's talk about what happened with Raul Rosses. Then on the opening lap, it was down into the Ketterville hairpin, then and trying to go the long way around. There's Kartik Pai on the inside, just a tag of front wheel to rear, and then effectively they find themselves close into each other, and you leave yourself there and you run through. And who was that over the top there trying to beat Jimmy Bullard in a Hull versus Wigan match?
That looked like Gabriel Martinez's car. If I see something that looks like a comic book design, that's Gabriel Martinez, and it almost looks like he's trying to dive over the rock to try and get the ball into the end zone, trying to get the try, but unfortunately it's Adelaide, but we're not really doing state of origin around here at the moment. We'll wait a few months for that, so Gonna have to wait a little bit more. Zachley and Hardy's already gone, but Ross Banfield still battling as well. And these guys are battling. Is that a mistake there from Togo Hizada? And Jack Davis Pickett, who has been knighted, or basically been crowned a Finnish driver. He's not really from Finland, but he's driving like one right now.
Sir David Spickett, then it will be out there. We might have to start calling him, as here comes the move to the inside of turn 8. Oh, what a pass on Togo Hizada. Takes bravery to make something like that happen. And normally drivers wait for here to get the pass, but at turn 8, what a move. And I tell you what, how hard of a day it is today when you've got Andy T saying, I'm glad I'm not racing here. That tells you all you need to know. Hans Sommer spin off of the curbs then down at the centre chicane.
Yeah, hi, Andy. I wouldn't even want to be driving this myself. It's very tough. Behind in 5th place, you've got Marco Nurmela. Oh, no! Got on the throttle. Did James Barry. And Barry, the car just said no. And there was nowhere for Nurmela to go. Now, did he get on the throttle on the curbing there? No. Car just literally veered to the left out of nowhere.
That's a weird one here, and I'd be very interested to see what the steering input was there for James Barry as he was looking out on the exit. Steering wheel, oh, that's a complete hardware failure. That is a total hardware failure for James Barry. The wheel snapped, full lock rotation to the left. He's out.
Yeah, I was looking at it just at the same time you were. Watch this. When that steering wheel just goes left out of nowhere, boom, there it is. That's a hardware failure. If you know sim racing, you know what that is. And the moment I saw the wheels, when I first looked at that back, I started thinking to myself, that has to be something different. You don't just keep the wheel cranked to the left like that with power spin on the rear tires heating up. And that's so unfortunate to happen right there. And unfortunately, he claimed a couple drivers as well. Noble's not going to be happy, but such is the nature of this race. And what has Jack Davis Pickett got that don't have a hardware failure yourself this time? Might be a curse around that corner.
Yeah, Marco Nurmela in its immediacy will be very upset. He'll look back at the replay and he'll go, well, there's nothing I can do about it there, because that is the telltale sign of a hardware failure, if ever you saw one. Hizada then in 4th position right now, as Jack Davis Pickett is up there in 3rd. They're trying to stay back. This is Nurmela's view of it. So let's try and see. How much time do you have to react to an issue like that? Left in the water. Had his own issue there sliding about and then found himself completely jammed up with contact. Let's talk gainers now at this moment, because there are 2 biggest gainers in the field, Craig. Up 16 places each, Seamus Power and George Gonzaga.
And Seamus has done that really well. He's into the top 10. Jorge as well has managed to make himself up into 12th position. Granted, we've lost probably about 8 drivers minimum. What we've got 19 drivers still on the out of the 28. So yeah, about 8 or 9 drivers. So half of those overtakes were probably just avoiding the carnage on the first couple of laps. We've lost another driver as well, Jason Krakowiak. Sorry, I can't get my words out. He's had a little moment out there as well. As Andy T was saying, this is a tough track to make overtake. You have to wait for mistakes to actually get the overtakes. Well, I think that's the nature right now. And I just saw that Togo was slow down. It is. You can see straight away. I know that it's almost like a 4-tire rule there, Jake, but the moment that bottom of that car hit, yeah, there was nowhere else for him.
And that is Raul Rosas Guardia backwards and reversing backwards along the circuit to try and get into the gravel to get the turnaround sorted. So a lap down causing dramas out there, and he's done very well to get back out onto circuit, but that would have been a sight for the likes of Luke Turnison and Ross Banfield to see a car backwards reversing along the run. It's very tough out there to try and avoid that. This is Jason Krakowiak's issue then through this chicane, and you can catch air over the second part. It's tough enough when you've got all the weight of a supercar that goes along here. To go on an open formula, you're asking for trouble.
I think this is going to be turning into the new Long Beach, and drivers don't like Long Beach because, well, they like Long Beach, but there's drivers that say I can't drive it because they just overdrive the car into the wall. I feel this is going to be the new variant of Long Beach. You're going to have to really work out your angles, really work out where you're going, and I think that's catching a lot of drivers out today. They're also, I think, trying to post the car into the corners a bit more than usual to try and keep the speed up. And it's a cold track today. We talked about it, 20 Celsius. And here's that spin from Raul Rogers Guardia, and that's what I mean. Just trying to carry too much speed through the corners there, Jake, and that's catching drivers out. Either they oversteer through the corner or they understeer into the wall. They're just not finding the sweet spot right now.
No, they're not, and we are here, of course, at Adelaide in the slew of parks around the main centre of Adelaide. We're not a million miles away from the Adelaide Oval and the North Adelaide Golf Club, as Ross said. They're having to reverse himself around to keep this in. Turnison, who remember was an absolutely wonderful F2 driver a season ago, now trying to cut his chops here in the F1 standings, and he'll be up there and getting big points for the Dutchman.
Yeah, doing really well as well, and almost like the Josephine Becker effect. By the way, hi Josephine, I know you're not here right now, but just a driver that's come into the series, done really well in the Formula 2s, and then just been like, well, I've got my iRacing at that level now. I think I can actually test it with the drivers and give it up to Luke, because look at him, he's in 6th place right now, doing really well. Andrew Petty is still fighting after everything that has happened at the start of this race, getting past Jean-Francois Boscus, and one of the oldest drivers, and I mean oldest, Jake, by time driving in this series. Some of the first broadcasts that this series had back in 2012. Yeah, we found it. He was there.
Experienced is the word that you got to look at for Jean-Francois Boscus. He has 14 years worth of experience in this car and is looking to go improve all of that. Here is Christophe Alenajak out then as he looks to get to 7th place. Dylan Freckleton will be the driver that he will try and work forward out then at this point. And so if you can work the pass one at a time, right now you're just thinking of the best way to do it risk averse. We're not even halfway. A little think over towards the inside. No chance of the move being done, and no Nigel Mansell-esque tyre blowouts, we hope today.
And look at... Sorry, I had to just get that in for a moment. It's one of the most iconic calls ever in F1, I feel like. We won't be seeing that today, but we say one at a time here. Well, this is Australia. They hold the Ashes. They're going to win it in singles right now. Christoph's just going to probably either go one overtake at a time or one corner at a time. But if he has a wobble like that getting on the throttle, he's going to have issues. And that wasn't a disconnect. Will disconnect. I know that's what happened to James Barry, but that's what we thought at the time. He's just going to have to hope for drivers to make mistakes and keep it clean. He's not keeping it clean at the moment if he gets a wobble like that, overheating the tyres.
Well, this sort of wobble will start to prove here where everyone is now trying to get just as much into the middle of the race. You focus through here on lap 12 of 36. You're trying to find a rhythm, and it's clear that they are grafting around a circuit like this one today. They're not having it easy. They've got lap traffic now in front in the form of Pablo Rodriguez, so they'll have to work around him one lap down at this moment. But you are grafting around a circuit like this. You don't have the same lap twice, because this is a circuit where pretty much, while you have to try and run the same lap twice, you never truly can get it.
I think it's once again another momentum track. And I know that sounds crazy when you're going slow and fast and flat out round a corner, especially at turn 8, but this is that little momentum track, because if you turn into the corner a bit too early and you hit those curbs, they are a little bit race. They're going to upset the car, they're going to upset your speed, they're going to upset your downforce, and you're going to have to just get yourself back in a rhythm. And thankfully there are brake markers that really help you here, but if you just cut that chicane a bit too much, you wobble the car's going to be unbalanced. You have to lift off the throttle a little bit, compromises your entry going into Wakefield Road and then Wakefield Corner. So you really have to keep that momentum going. Then, of course, you go ahead. Now you've got Dirty Air with Dylan Freckleton. So that's going to be different. And look at the way that he's had to slide around the corner this time. Sliding's going to overheat the tyres a little bit. He's going to be losing a little bit of grip as he starts to cool down the Bartels Road. So every corner is different, let alone every lap.
Yeah, it's a scrub. You get scrubbing through so many different sections out there on this circuit, and you get all sorts who struggle with Adelaide and what they deal with. When it first released out, there was a certain streamer called XQC who really struggled to the point where he had a massive screaming fit about how much he was struggling at this circuit. Dylan Freckleton then in that 7th place, repping the Isle of Man out there at this point, and Elena Jacques here is close, but close isn't going to be good enough at the moment to go and see a move then being made. So patience required at this moment from some of the very best out there in this series. And I note now here that there is your overall gaps on screen, and they are fragmenting out here. You've got to see gaps of 15 seconds, 18 seconds, top 10, half a minute already. We could be looking at maybe, 12 cars on the leading lap by the time we're done with this?
Should be 12 laps. And remember, I said it's a long race. And the reason I said it's a long race, a little bit of an administration error. And I think they put their hand up to it. Put the wrong number of laps in because they do like try to work out a decent length of time as Togo battling Jack David Spickett. He's going to go side by side. They're going to just now take this little battle, and Jack's going to hold on to this. So just as they get back to that, yeah, small administration error, Jake, and probably about 3 laps too long. It's going to be almost 45 minutes long, this race, just to give you an idea. Usually they're about, what, 38, 39 minutes long? So it's going to be a little bit of an endurance out there today.
Yeah, they're going to go slightly longer, a lot of laps, a lot of places where you can't really struggle. Bang! Into the wall, 1 and 2. That's a huge accident for Togo Hissada. Both he and Jack David Spickett are out. And suddenly, oh, Ross Banfield's caught up in it as well. He couldn't tow in time. Suddenly, Luke Turnison on the podium. A massive accident here at Adelaide.
Oh, man, Togo, with no offense to Ross, I feel like Ross could have avoided it. Oh, no, he couldn't have. No, he couldn't have. Remember, it's a blind corner coming around onto Wakefield Road. I apologize. Nothing he could do. That was big. Nowhere for Togo to go. Nowhere for Ross to go. All of a sudden now, Christoph is trying to battle for P4. And say it ain't so, I think Dylan has got a chance for a podium here if he can just keep the pace up to Turnison.
He's definitely got a chance, but ultimately, you've got to try and catch Cookie Monster out there in 3rd position. That's the difference that you've got. Yes, I think Dylan Freckleton could catch this back, but 1.7 seconds here, not too far, but you've got to be patient out there. And this is harkening back to an old era out there of the 80s into the 90s when they raced at Adelaide, of you can't go and drive 10 tenths around this circuit. You have to have a pace out there where you go, it's not 100% because I need to prioritize having a car by the end of it. It's asking these drivers to use a skill that in sim racing terms, you very rarely see.
Oh, let's have a look at the replay. I was about to say, definitely does feel like an old F1 race. But here's Togo right now. He's going to be seeing Jack. And I don't think Jack would have even realized the car was going to do that. He probably thought at first, well, I think the car's just a little bit upset here. Yeah, right there as he goes through. There's Ross. Nowhere for him to go. He probably would have had that. And at the same time, he's probably thinking, please tow, please tow, please tow, please tow, please tow. It doesn't happen. We've all been there. You can't fault Ross for what happened on that one.
You can't, but you also turn around, Craig, and say there's a localized yellow flag there for a reason, and sim racers should really do a lot more to understand why there is one there.
Yeah, this isn't Days of Thunder. If you see the yellow flag, you've got to be ready. And, you know, you and I, we just finished Sebring 12, different positions. I was in a car, you were in a booth. But you know that the first thing when you hear a yellow flag, you're usually asking someone with you, where is it? Well, you're not with anyone today. You're on your own. You kind of have to do that yourself, and you can have a look at the black box just to have a look to see what is happening. He would have known it, and he probably would have had a cool car stopped on the right. So he probably could have made an adjustment the moment he saw those yellow flags.
Yeah, and so those adjustments, I think, make for an all-important day today. And one of the other reasons why you wouldn't want to be running out here, you look at your iRacing and your safety rating, Craig, at a street circuit, and often it's a case that you have to go to the donation box and play a deposit before you reach the next week.
Yeah, it's not for charity either, unless the charity is the Zach Leon Hardy or the Luke Turnison charity right now, because Luke's looking at a real good payday today if he stays in 3rd, but he's got to try and hold off those two charging right behind Dylan Freckleton and Christoph Alenajak. And those are 2 experienced drivers in vintage racing. And with no offense to Luke, you're still the new boy. You're still the young lion. Your hair's just growing out. You're still wearing the black trunks. You still only know the Boston Crab. But one thing for sure, you can probably win with that, but you're going to have to be a little bit fancy with it.
Yeah, if you want to be the best of the Super Juniors, so to speak, you're going to have to find something a little bit more flambe or flamboyant out there at this point. There's your leader, 6.97 seconds over Aldrius Valenteus at this point. 11.4, played 11 flat on that last lap through. Valenteus did also have to get by Michael Taylor, who also is repping the Isle of Man out there. So Valenteus here, looking around at Zach Leon Hardy, and suddenly you turn around and say, well, Zach last season was putting the building blocks together to say, I'm actually quite quick. This season, he's taken off and he's gone, well, I'm not just quick, I am stand out, try and go and beat me.
I mean, let's just be brutally honest here. New track, we get it. Valentay is probably not his strongest track on streets, but he's beating the gold standard. This is the man that has 2 Triple Crowns. He won the Triple Crown last week in a pretty much dominant fashion. And this is who Zach's putting the Hurt Locker on right now. And he's just gone purple once again. And this is the sort of stage I'm thinking. 7.5 seconds. You don't want to go slow. You don't want a teledriver to go slow because you need that momentum. We saw what happened with Senna at Monaco. You don't tell a driver to go slow, but he has to be aware in the back of his head right now. He doesn't need to take risks. These two are taking risks because Christoph was close and almost close again. They almost come together on the wheels.
Alain Jacques, a lucky lad there in the number 20, and he's managed to keep the front wing intact as he's gone on through there. That is so close. You get a massive run through and you're trying to hit your braking marker and you are so tunnel vision on a street circuit. You can sometimes forget where you are and how early you need to brake. You're always watching the car in front. Can I beat you out by an extra meter?
Well, he tried to beat him out by an extra meter, but also Dylan put his car in the middle of the track, but there was nowhere for Christoph to go, and I think Christoph just caught himself out as well. And I think had he taken the normal line, well, hindsight's 2020, of course. If he took the normal line, may have not have had that, may have not had a moment, but that's done now. He's catching right back up. Zach's now going faster, and that's good for Zach. That's not good for Valenteus, but look at the gap now. I know we've had those 2 big crashes. The gap between Valenteus and Turnison, 15 seconds. The leaders are pretty much in coasting mode now, and welcome to multi-class in the Lotus 79, Jake.
It definitely feels like that right now, doesn't it? And it's also a good time to point out that Seamus Power and George Gonzaga are up a combined 19 places each. So that is 38 spots gained for 2 drivers in this pack. You can see there, Matthew Cochran, 15 up. Andrew Petty, despite getting caught up in a blocked circuit, is up 12. Boschkus up 12. So with big gainers, there are also big losers out there, and you see James Barry on that list. You see JD Rodriguez and Kartik Pai. And now you see an attempt at a move at the Decanterville hairpin, and it's not going to work at Decanterville for the likes of Alain Jacques. This is basically his race. I just want to get through on this car in front.
And he's going to need to do it, and where do you do it? You know overtaking's tough here, and we said it. Andy T's been saying it as well. It's a track where you need to play the mistake, and well, the only mistake we've seen in the last couple laps is what Alain Jacques has done. He's the one that's made the mistakes around here, so he's having to put that pressure on the back of Dylan, but you don't get any brake markers. No brake markers in these cars. He almost had a moment. Almost had a moment, and I saw that. Remember what I was saying, Jake? If you get that wrong, your momentum just swings a little bit. That was a momentum changer, and he had to slow down for it.
Yeah, look, he gets so wide off of turn 2 that he just basically has to hold on to the Bronco and hope that he's going to ride it out over into the sunset. Not the idealist line in the mode in the moment to try and keep yourself steady. It will now give him a couple laps to focus back to the rear of Freckleton. It will give Freckleton a half chance now to focus back on Luke Turnison, who's now 2 seconds down the road and driving wonderfully at this moment in time. So all of the focus will be now on where they sit with 15 laps to go on a spread out field. Actually, what will be worth talking about soon is the rate that Andrew Petty is chasing down Matthew Cochran. He's taking 3/10 a lap out of him at this point, and the gap is now down under what is 2 seconds.
And that's the battle for the top 10 as well, so that's going to be vital. And I'll tell you what, we have to also talk about it, and we will look at it, of course, next week. Second split, with the crashes today, with the big pile-up. I know there was a moment in second split I've heard from the grapevine, but if these guys can't get the pace up, remember, points are scored on your average race lap. So if you won the second split, you don't get the point for 29th because there's 28 cars ahead of you. You get the points for however fast you were. Sometimes those drivers who win second split are as fast as the guy that finishes 9th or 8th place in top split. So Petty needs to actually keep driving for those points. Top 10 would be good, but I'm pretty sure that with the way it started today, he may not get 10th in the points because of what may have happened in second split.
And Craig, if you talk about second split in this regard, as letting the room through there on the right-hand side is Mickey Friesen, allowing lap traffic to go by. If you talk about when it's a normal day, you're talking sort of 8th, 9th place. On a day like today with so many issues, is this a top 5 pace?
Last time we saw something like that, to give you an example, was the wet race at Watkins Glen. And I put wet in quotation marks because nobody knew if it was wet enough for slicks or wet enough for wet. So that meant that the driver that won second split actually got 5th in the points. I'm not saying that's going to happen today, but that's something that the drivers may have to worry about when they finish the race. They've cooled down, look at the points and realize that, well, I may need to carry these points to the end of the season because I may not be able to get more points to beat it with a drop week.
No, that is very true. So keep in mind that everyone looks to try and hold as many points as they can. A lot of drivers will look at today as a drop week, and that will really sting from them as far as it goes. I note that there are cars that are 7 laps down that have been able to get back out and going. I put that down right now. Of 28 starters, we've got 18 runners.
I would count the same. Petty's just had a little bit. 20 runners, I think, is the number. And that's also important because you basically, then the more you drive up now, even though your lap's down, that increases your fit. So again, points. They also want to get experience. They also want to get out and drive for the sake of getting out and driving. Just thinking if they can find someone to drive against. So that's one thing the drivers are looking to do. And yeah, it comes back when you're in the booth. You look at it and go, well, in the future, we can say it's the points. Right now, they just want to drive for the fun of it because who doesn't? We finally got Adelaide, Jake, and this is the closest we will get to some vintage racing in these cars on an old school vintage track.
And I'll tell you how old school and vintage it is, as Elena Jacques has found the rear of Dylan Freckleton again, and is trying to find a way here on Hutt Street to get the pass done, and now needing the big long launch again. You got Gabri Martinez back out there, 14 laps down, and Marco Nurmela back out there, 16 laps down. I mean, it doesn't get more old school than that.
No, I really do feel like we may be getting a little bit of David Coulthard and Michael Schumacher at Spa. Not wet, though, but you get the idea that some drivers just want to get out there just for the sake of it. Elena Jack almost having a moment there. And I wonder, is he looking to try and late break there into the hairpin? It's a little bit risky. It can be done. But again, looking and going a bit too wide through Foster's. The over-under with how that corner just goes and just straightens up a little bit later than you expect. Not really possible. He's
Petty
struggling out there, and now Petty side by side is going to make a move in the hairpin.
Yeah, gets it done on Matthew Cochrane there. Had to stand it up as much as possible and did so really, really cleverly out there. What looks like one of the Super Formula Toyota style liveries out there on that car proves itself to be wonderful once again, and so now we'll have the chance to drive on forward with more prowess then, as that is 10 and it's 5 seconds now to George Gonzaga. Cal Young still going in 16th position. He's got Pablo Rodriguez Hoglar who's trying to get through. Now look here, Craig, at the fact he's got GSRC stickers all over his car. That's an extra 2 tenths out here.
An extra 2 tenths, but I just need to double check. Oh, they're the old logos. They're the old logos, so it's only 1 tenth. It's not fast enough right now. I've got to get the new branding, of course, as we are still looking nice in our colours. And this is one of those battles. They're a lap down. They've had their moments out there. Cal had the crash. He spent 1 minute and 30 in the pit. Pablo had to go into the pit for a quick drive-through, I think it was, or something. So they're a lap down. Leon Hardy's going to be coming up behind him in a moment. The speed is there for Cal, and he's just going to take that advantage over there. And that's the difference of having GSRC stickers on your car, Jake. That's what got the overtake.
Yeah, it's absolutely that, and not the skill of Cal Young here, who is a 6,000 iRacing driver there. Very nice move as we take a look at the Ford DFV Cosworth engine. Oh, Moreira is in the pits and out. So what has happened to M. Moreira along the front stretch? Is this into turn 1, or is this just a case of troubles out there? He's still out there going, but had a massive blink.
I think he just disappeared, and Martinez now towed the car as well. He's had a moment. Yeah, I think he just was lost in the echo, just trying to find his way back there, but he's still alive. He's still driving, as is Cal Young. And now this is actually good for Cal, because he's no longer battling at the moment Hoglar, which means that when it comes to Leon Hardy and the leaders coming by shortly, he doesn't have to worry about giving up the position to the leaders with the blue flag and then going back to the fight. He can actually allow Hoglar to lose time first of all, so he can just start pushing on. So that's quite handy for them when they realize the track position of the rest of the cars.
Craig, when was the last time you saw Aldris Valenterius one-on-one be 10 seconds slower than the car in front of him?
Last season in the GTPs. This is quite shocking, because what was it I was saying last season when he got the Triple Crown? What was it I was saying on the broadcast last week? He knows how to win in these cars now. Even Joe was shocked that Valenterius has only had now 4 wins in a Lotus 79, and that shocks me at his pedigree. We went to look at the stats, Jake, and this probably won't shock you. The most winningest driver across all 3 vintage series was not Valenterius. It was Gernot Friescher, who's only done 1 of them. And that just goes to show, even with Valenterius' over 110 wins, this man, still the winningest man in all of vintage racing, despite he doesn't even know what an IMSA vintage is.
He doesn't know what an IMSA vintage is. I'd argue he doesn't really know what a Lotus 49 is out there, but he was a driver who season after season after season for a block of about 8 years was pretty much unstoppable out there in the world of racing here. But it's just the case that he is of a generation where he was someone that everyone looked to try and get up to. The issue that maybe Gernot Friescher has is that in this generation, everyone has taken what he's learned and what he does with the car, and they've surpassed it.
But if this generation didn't have Gernot Friescher, where would they be? We may be talking about the likes of Zach or Dylan or Seamus or some of these drivers being this now new Gernot Friescher. Without Gernot, these guys couldn't drive. Remember, this has been a car that's been on the service since 2009. I know, that's crazy. And by the way, happy anniversary. 9 years now of broadcasting the Lotus 79s on the GSRC channel, and it's still one of the most popular races to see. Zach continues to go on, and that really feels just touching and fitting right here, Jake. The Rothmans Formula livery around Adelaide, and if you've got the graphics up, folks, you can see them sparking.
Yeah, so please be responsible out there with the choices that you make, and the choice that Zach Leon Hardy is making is, with 8 laps to go, it's 11 seconds, the margin here at the front of this field. Race still on, of course, for 4th place out there. I did hear as well a couple laps ago on the radio, Luke Turnerson getting a little bit upset with Gabriel Martinez and Marco Nurmler going, lads, blue flags, come on. I need to just try and consolidate my position here on the final spot of the podium. And you can understand it here at Adelaide. It's so tough to lap.
Yeah, now remember, on iRacing, the blue flag is advisory. However, there is that little unwritten rule that the community has that, look, this is F1. You don't have brake lights. We can't see the speed. We don't know if you're damaged or not. If you are a lap down, you see that blue flag, could you please just move over to the side as soon as you can? I know those two are battling, and well, I say they were battling. They're 23rd and 22nd. They're both on different laps, so they're just fighting for the sake of it. At that stage, you've got to just give the respect there and go, yeah, sorry, just go on by. You're trying to defend that 4-second gap you got to Dylan.
A really, really amazing circuit here, this one. It is on a massive run of parks, effectively. This is park number 16 here, Victoria Park. It is known, and they will also drive completely around then on their run from Wakefield Road and Bartles Road past King Rodney Park, which is the 15th of the parks around here in Adelaide that surrounds the Adelaide Town Hall and Adelaide Central, as it is effectively there with Victoria Square. So you're right in the heart of Adelaide at this point, as Zach Leon Hardy then is running through the final corner and comfortably dealing with his race. Now here is Elena Jacques, hoping that he can get by Dylan Freckleton. Cars 14 and 20 in 4th and 5th. Look at the closing speed. Look at the run to the outside. It's going to now need a cut through the middle, and that's a great line off the exit. Finally, for Elena Jacques, he's up to 4th.
And I wonder if that was Dylan almost trying to just bait that, because Dylan had Noah broke early for the hairpin there, and I wonder if he was almost trying to tell Christoph, try it. But look at him, he's overdriving the corners a little bit right now. it doesn't look very comfortable right now for Dylan out there. 22 Celsius still the track temp. Doesn't have to worry about that. And didn't even have to worry about overheating the tires, but does not have the pace. And another little bit of a moment out there, hitting the curve too much. He's losing time. Okay, Christoph, you got 5-6 laps to go. Can you find a second lap to get up to Turnison? Well, not if you're driving like that in the moment. I don't think he's got a chance. I think he's going to have to just settle for this P4.
I'll tell you someone who isn't settling, Andrew Petty. He's managed to pull that 5-second gap down to under 2 now to Jorge Gonzaga. So he's going to be underneath that pressure late on in the race to hold. Now, look at that for laps led. 30 now for Zach Leon Hardy. Just the one for Aldrius Valenterius. And that lap that he led would have been the first lap as he got a better launch off the line on the side-by-side grid stalls that they have here at Adelaide. Petty sliding about again here in 10th position, but knowing that Jorge Gonzaga is slowed down there on the inside. He had a big moment there through turn 7, got on the curb, couldn't put the power down, just avoided the walls there on the inside, and suddenly he's all over you, George. Watch out, because George of the Jungle is going to be looking at Andrew Petty, who is going to try and pedal his way up to 9th.
Well, he's got to do the pedal to the medal. And well, the medal he wants, at the P9 medal, he wants to be at the end of that podium in that famous meme. He'll be celebrating after a great little drive here. He's going to have to just hope for the best. I love this livery. It's a mock-up Toyota, but it's also got its own sponsors. It's what he tries to just throw, and you see on the helmet board, and just look at, this is the hoop cam. You get an idea of what they see. They don't see a lot. Attack, and this is what he needs to do now. The pressure is on Gonzaga because he knows that Petty is catching, and any more mistakes, it's done. Great drive up the field from Andrew Petty.
Yeah, it's a recovery drive as well, you got to remember at the same time, where Jorge Gonzaga just kept it quiet, out of the way of everyone, and has leapfrogged up through to 9th position. But how long will it be? A hold of the gaps and a hold of the margins that are there at this point. This is where you're starting to understand the pair of these drivers. Gonzaga over to the inside, but doesn't cover it enough. The line's there for Andrew Petty. It's later on the brakes, but look at the commitment late into the corner, taking it away. And Andrew Petty up to 9th place with a lovely pass down at the Decaturville hairpin.
Overcooked a little bit. He had to just rely on the slide to really help him out there to just get that move done. And also that slide just held up Gonzaga there and just held on to it. By the way, podium, he did very well yesterday. They were in the same split as I was, Jake. They didn't really do well, though, in the GTP. About 4 laps down overall. They still finished. That's the important thing. Petty looking to do a little bit better than what the team did yesterday. And, well, he's a minute behind. He's got to find 6 seconds on Hans Sommer. I think he's just going to have to be thankful it's a P9, but what a switchback he had to do there down the straight. He dummied Gonzaga to get that overtake done.
Yep, needed to find all the skills out there and needed everything more to keep yourself out in position. So I think Andrew Petty will know and understand here today that it's about just finding result. Oh, you're not going to get much help if you're going to be brushing against the wall like that heading towards turn 8. Oh, my word.
He's got front wing damage. It's on the left of the car, so he's had that damage from something else as well. Something's happened to that car to get that damage, and I think that's what's been hurting him as well. He's actually been battling with that wing damage all race. So maybe he was just trying to, when he went flying, when we had that flying at lap 1, maybe he had to use that, and I think maybe he was hitting that wall to try and balance it out there, Jake, because that wing there, you can just see it. It doesn't look very happy.
No, and I'm sure that when he decides to load Microsoft Flight Sim or something of that ilk, he'll have a very nice Lotus 79 waiting for him in-game there. 2 laps to go, though, and they're about to be put a lap down by that driver just behind him, Zach Leon Hardy, who has taught everybody here at Adelaide today, as far as it goes, knock on wood, a lesson.
Yeah, Jake, come on. Let's not do a Murray Walker at the 96 Monaco Grand Prix here. Let's just keep it calm. Let's just keep it cool here. We don't want to see any more retirements. We're already down to just 10 drivers on the lead lap. Not entirely sure how many drivers we actually still got racing out there from the drivers that started. But Leon Hardy, He needs to just keep it calm right now. 2 laps to go. And I know I said you don't want to start slowing down, but I think now's the moment that he could just turn the wicker down a little bit here. Doesn't need to keep that Bunsen burning all the time.
No need for anything silly out there, working through into the final corner for the penultimate time, and Barney will get the opportunity to wave the white flag out there to say there is 1 lap left here in Adelaide, a circuit that will have MotoGP racing around here back in 2027, which I think is going to be a really interesting scenario to see. Already off of Wakefield and through the Wakefield corner, and now running through on the East Terrace in towards Flinders Street. And now for Zach Leon Hardy, he knows he's only got a handful of tough braking zones left. Works through at the 50-meter board, turning through at turn 7 and along Bartles Road here for what will be the final time. And now here comes the charge of what he understands is a marquee moment for him in his sim racing vintage career. It's not often that you get to put half a minute over the podium. It's not often that you get to be 11 seconds quicker than the current greatest classics driver of this generation. But it is simply put, everybody turns around, and sometimes when it's your day, you have a day in the sun. It has burned the fog away. He has seen everybody hold back and say, I've got nothing for it. Zach Leon Hardy is a Lionheart dominant again, and he will get a huge result here at Adelaide.
Valenteus will come home in second, and he actually denies the Grand Slalom, as Leon Hardy, unfortunately, did not get the best run-offs at the start. And I think Valenteus was practicing that start because he knew how important it would be. Luke Turtison is the man, though, and you've got to give it up to Luke for what he's been able to do. He capitalized on the big incident in the middle of the race. This is a P3 that's going to feel fantastic for the man who's still starting his journey in vintage racing.
And we're getting word that for a drive with the number 24 on his car, and in this position with fields of 5,000, 6,000, 8,000 drivers, that might have been there, Craig, a 500 iRating boost.
Well, it's about 110 iRating boost at the moment, but for your confidence, that's going to be 500 for sure. Hans Sommer will be coming across the line. He will get into 8th, and just behind him will be that Andrew Petty. What a drive from Andrew. Remember, he was the one that was trying to dive over the pile at the start of the race, and he finishes in 9th. Gonzaga will be 10th, the last man on the lead lap.
So let's get that confirmation of result here as we set ourselves up then at the end of racing. Zach Leon Hardy dominant here over Aldris Valenteus, and Luke Turnison a mega podium here from Adelaide as Christophe Elena-Jacques would get the pass late on Dylan Freckleton, and M. Moreira would finish off in 6th. Your biggest mover in the field is Shameless Power, up 19 spots today from 26th to 7th, with Hans Sommer there in 8th place. Andrew Petty, despite flying in the opening lap of the race, is 9th. George Gonzaga rounds out your top 10.
Yeah, and it's just those 10 that are on the lead laps, and Matthew Cockerham will be 1 lap down, and Jean-Francois Bosquez will be in 12th just behind him. Gunnar Frischer will take 13th, and now we come to the drivers with the issues. Cal Young had a lap 1 incident, came back out, finished 14th. Hoglar as well, he was in 15th. Michael Taylor had a big one, but he finishes 7 laps down in 16th. Raul Roches Gardia came back out to try and get what he could. He finishes 17th. Sorry, it was Taylor 16th. Ricardo Espinela Martinez retired in 18th. Gabri Martinez came back out in 19th. So did Marco Nurmela, but he will be 2 laps behind Gabri in 20th.
And then we'll look on over with Mickey Friesen and Jack David Spickett, who are there together. Togo Asada taken out, as well as Ross Banfield in that instant for Jack David Spickett. Jason Krakowiak in trouble. The wheelbase for James Barry. And then you've got Kartik Pai and JD Rodriguez there, 27th and 28th positions overall. We are going to take this chance, though, to chat with some of our drivers over the course of this race. A dominant victory overall for Zach Leon Hardy. Zach, I think we can say this now. You had something here at Adelaide today that everybody else didn't, and so 3/10 up in qualifying, and then you turn around and put 11 seconds on Aldrius. I think you have to say that is the perfect Sunday drive.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. Pretty relieved it's over. I think every time I come off the last corner, I was making a face knowing I had to go through turn one again. But yeah, it was a great race. I can't. I'm pretty stunned to beat Audrius like that, especially after last week at VIR. You know, I want to give a shout out to Andy T and T Sets. Been working with them for a little bit, and Andy's been helping me a lot understand what these cars need and how to set the cars up for what I need. So, been very helpful. And I got a lot of practice, so I don't want to take all the credit on talent. I did do a lot of practice this week.
Let's turn and talk about that for a moment, because in terms of how you're driving these Lotus 79s, what exactly do you need from them?
For me, it's kind of, and I don't mean to quote Max Verstappen, but it is something he says is, I don't know. I kind of try to just get the front end as pointy as I can, and then try to make the rear end handle it. Yeah, I don't mind sliding a little bit, but obviously the tires are touchy. Like through the 90s is where I was really beating Audrius in the race, at least early on. That's where I was killing him. And I could go faster if I went through there and slid, but if you get the tires too hot, then you're dead for the next half lap.
That gives you a very good understanding of how drivers are thinking about the process of what they need out of the car. But to turn it from street circuit to, I would say, obligatory circuit out there in terms of a track that is a classic track, Imola in 7 days. How are you feeling about it?
I haven't tested it yet with this car. I have driven this car at a lot of tracks. I used to drive this car for fun a lot, and then obviously just recently started running the series. I do like Imola a lot. I don't know if I'm as good as some of these other guys there, given I don't have nearly as many laps as all these guys around that place, and it's a very popular track, especially for the Europeans. So it'll definitely be tough, but I'm going to try to do the best I can and give Audrius a run for his money again.
Well, we hope that opportunity comes around for you in 7 days. Zach Leon Hardy gets the victory out there overall. In terms of this race, one of your biggest air miles flyers out there in this one was Andrew Petty. He stood by with Craig King.
Well, he was for a moment, and he's just gone for a moment. Andrew decides not to leave. Yeah, he's right back here. I think he got offended by your joke there. But Andrew, I need to just say right now, we're not playing rugby. We're not playing American football. You don't have to dive over the pile there. Can you talk us through that lap one?
Guys, yeah, I got a little bit airborne there, which wasn't part of the plan, I've got to say. But yeah, that's sort of it's just the nature of racing on a street circuit, I guess. You kind of have to expect that at some point you might have all your wheels off the ground.
Yeah, I can tell you that the Japanese judge gave you 8.2, so we'll see you in the final tomorrow. But no, it was a fantastic drive. We've actually seen that replay now, right now. It was a fantastic recovery drive with a little bit of a broken wing. Did you feel any effects of that? Because you weren't charging as hard, but you were still charging hard there to get up there to the end of the race.
Well, I had bent steering for the whole of the race. Not crazy amounts. It was just offset by a couple of degrees. To be honest, I knew I had the wing damage because Spotter told me, but I'll be completely honest, I haven't really. I don't know. I just kind of put that at the back of my mind. I'm sure it was there, but I don't know. I was just thinking about next position, see what I can gain, and yeah, sort of found the pace was there and the confidence was there, and yeah, just kind of kept going.
Now, we've been seeing you in the Grand Prix Tour. I know of your pedigree as well in the Super Formulas. You are a modern-day open-wheel driver, and you come into this classic, and they drive differently. You can deal with a little bit more damage on like the moderns, but what is it that you have to take from driving modern-day cars and change when you come to this car, apart from the fact that you don't have the power?
That is a really good question. I think the biggest thing is braking. Obviously in like Super Formula, but also in like say the W13 or even the IndyCar, you can really hammer the brakes. And on this car, little front wheels, they can't quite handle it, bless them. But I think that's the biggest thing. Also, the rear end on this likes to dance around quite a lot, and that's definitely something you're not used to. But I like that. Like, as much as I love racing the modern cars, driving a car like this, it's just I don't know. It feels very freeing. I think it's a very expressive car to drive.
Well, we'd like to see some more expression from you next week, hopefully. I know it's the Easter weekend, but Imola will be next week. We look forward to seeing you, hopefully further up the field. But until next time, Andrew, thank you for coming in. Congratulations on a fantastic recovery, and keep those feet on the ground, please.
Thank you, Craig. Also, before I go, I want to shout out you guys for being awesome commentators, the best in the business, the broadcast, the community. But I also really want to shout out Andy T, because he has helped me a lot get confident and get pace in this car. And honestly, I don't think without his guidance and mostly his setup, I'll be completely honest, I don't think I'd be able to have got the fight back that I did today. So shout out to you guys and shout out to Andy.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew. There you go, Jake. Back when we were doing the Lotus 79s, it was Pauli Partonen hyping up the series. Now it's Andy T who's taken the burden.
Well, it sounds like everybody's going to be joining Andy's tea party at some stage in time over the course of the world. And so it looks like, if you want to be quick, go get yourself an invitation to the tea party. One thing we can say of an invite for everyone is for 7 days' time at the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari, otherwise known as Imola, one of the great racing circuits in the world of motorsport, and personally, my favorite track of them all. You can catch that at what is 4:30 UTC, which will now be 5:30 GMT, because we've just flicked over today for that. You can catch that with us on the Global Sim Racing Channel if you haven't had to already. So out there at this stage, there is going to be more on the horizon out there. I'll correct myself, British summertime we are in right now. But the next show that we've got is going to be over with Porsche on their Twitch and YouTube, because the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup North America will be taking its hold from Watkins Glen, and that will be a big challenge. Who can break up the duopoly of Mitchell de Jong and Xander Reed there? Skip Barbers will be back on Thursday. They will be tackling Alton Park in a classic feel show of running. It's more British circuits when the Grand Prix legends go to Brands Hatch. And if you wanted multi-class then here around Adelaide, you'll get your answer for it in what is 6 days' time, because IMSA Vintage is going to be here, and that is going to be an absolute nightmare for every driver to try and work out and understand. But it does feel very IMSA Vintage to be on a street circuit. As far as this team goes, a massive thanks to everyone who has been here today. From Craig King alongside me, Christian Deploy, who's in the director's chair, Dougie Beard on the cameras. My name is Jake Sperry. A big smile wide when you go and get a massive victory. It's one where I think you just understand, right, I'm going to be a little bit above what everyone else is managing. It's one thing to understand, what do I need to do to be quicker? It's another thing to say, I'm now going to start being a title contender out there in a season. A dominant display and a new name to start fearing here in the annals of 79 running. Keep a name in your mind. It's Zach Leon Hardy.
This is iRacing.